Okay, Mr. Chairman, do you have anything for the board?
I do not. Thank you. I wish I could be there, guys, but thanks for running things, Bruce.
You bet. Bo, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, not yet.
Okay, great. I don't. Bo, I guess we can move the board docket. What normally there's nothing pending, is there? Okay, we'll go on to item C, committee reports. Bo, do you want to add to?
Sure. So, do you want me to talk about? We didn't have a finance committee meeting this month because we were Louise and I went with Ashley to meet with the governor and the architect. When she stopped to visit the facility, I guess she wasn't quite um, content, I guess would be the word I would say, with the design and all that was taking place there. So we had a meeting and met with her and some of her secretaries from the various agencies, and of course Dale Decker and his crew with Decker for the architectural design to see what we could change and remedy some of these things. So I guess they're going to try and have a meeting ASAP with those representatives that the governor had in attendance to see what recommendations they had or what they would like to see implemented in our facility to maybe make things a little more on line with what the governor was wishing for the facility. So I guess we'll wait and see how that goes. I think I don't know if I'm speaking now, Ashley, or not, but I feel like it was a little better when we left the meeting. That they kind of have an idea and a direction, but we're gonna have to. This is all gonna have to happen, rather soon because we can't just stop Franken from working and say, hold on, we're going back to the drawing board. The dollars that they would end up charging us to do that would be something we don't want to waste money on. So we're going to try and push them to continue to have these meetings as soon as possible and get these designs updated so we can get a change order submitted and get the rest of this thing completed. So overall, that's about all I have on the finance.
Okay, Bo, appreciate it. Do we have to have a motion?
No.
No motion. All right. Moving along, let's go to item number 9. Review, discuss, approve November, December, January nursing home administrator report. Ashley, do you have anything?
No, the only thing I have was we were finishing our New Mexico Medicaid cost report audit as well. State survey is in the building as of today, so they will probably finish by Friday. So the rest of us will be here actively working on the floor. Other than that, I think that was it, besides us meeting with the governor and the architects and what they possibly are wanting for that. Myself, Louise, and Bo. The biggest thing is that she is wanting private rooms, and that would cause a whole redesign on the wing that we're gonna have to put and how we're gonna enter into that. And so it's really gonna be some challenging aspects, but I think the architects are here tonight to talk later on the long-term care piece of what we're able to do for that. So other than that, I believe that is all I had.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to move to item number 14. New long-term care building updates. Also, that was in their packets, correct?
So
is there a little bit?
This one right here, and then that basically has been talking about what's been going on since November 7th. They are, it is a little frustrating. They are about 12 weeks behind due to the HVAC and also the fire suppression system. They are just having a really hard time with that subcontractor. So they are doing everything that they can in their power, but at this rate, it's kind of going to have to work out in our favor as well with everything that's going on. And then that's it for that one. So I think the next one is the construction phase 2 change order. We were supposed to be looking at that to see what we could start doing, since the bond money would be available, but since everything has happened, we do have the architects, I believe Jeremy is on, and I'm not sure if Kate is, but they can kind of speak to more of what we're looking at and what's gonna happen going forward.
Okay, is it Jeremy and Kate?
Correct.
If you would like, whoever wants to start off first, and go ahead, get started.
Jeremy, Jeremy, did you want to go? You want me to go?
No worries. So as far as like what's going on, well, we received word, as Bo and Ashley mentioned, late last week or the week prior, that the governor had stopped by and was unhappy with the design of the building. We did have a meeting at the governor's office on Thursday last week to discuss some of the things that she would like to see, or some of the things that she has issues with. Those included, as I believe Ashley mentioned, she wants to see all private rooms, no semi-private rooms. So that would be a reduction in the bed count. Some of the rooms do not have bathing options, so there's no showers in some of the rooms, and that was intentional. So it could be because there is an assisted bathing facility. She wanted to see more decentralized nursing, reduce the length of the hallways, expanded dining, reconfiguring the entry. There were quite a few requests that the governor had. What we're not clear about is what changes need to be implemented in the design as it exists now, given that the building is 50% complete with construction. What can be implemented now to address these concerns? What we are doing is reaching out to the two deputies that the mayor or the governor had with her on Thursday to set up a meeting where we can have maybe a more constructive discussion about where we are in construction, what the limitations potentially are to implementing any of these suggested changes. Now, obviously, anything is possible, but it's going to cost time and it's going to cost money. At this point, I think, as Bo mentioned at the beginning of the call, we do not recommend stopping construction. If we, our sense is that if, we tell Franken to stop working, that, we run into the chance that their subs will demobilize and leave the site, or Franken themselves will demobilize and leave the site if they're stopped long enough. And then once they're gone, it's going to be very, very challenging to bring them back. Very, very expensive also. But there's a risk in not stopping. If the governor says, you got to make big structural changes to the building, and the farther along with construction we are, the more costly, the more time it's going to take to get that done. So as I mentioned, we are trying to get a meeting scheduled this week with the representatives from the Department of Health, from the Department of Aging and Long-Term Services as well, to again have that discussion about what it is specifically that the governor is looking for that we can implement. And then once we understand what it is that the governor will accept, we need to help them understand what the cost and time implications are, and then get a clear understanding of who ultimately is going to pay for those changes. If they are significant, how do we get that implemented? And then ultimately, how do those changes get approved? Part of the struggle, I think, that we see, or things that we're concerned about, is some of the changes that the governor wants to see are in direct conflict with the way the long-term care facility is currently operated. And as we heard from the audit report earlier, the challenges with staffing. We think some of the changes that the governor has asked for will require a significant increase in staffing. And knowing that that's a challenge already, how do we move forward with that in a way that everyone can be satisfied with? Kate, anything you wanted to add?
Sure. I mean, I think you summarized it really well. We feel a bit like we've done our due diligence to create a facility that meets the needs that you have today. And her comments were to build for tomorrow. And we understand that while in all of our best interest to do so, we often run into budget challenges and didn't want to create a facility that you couldn't operate or maintain long term. And so I think that audit report is really telling. But at the same time, she has some very specific concerns that we will do our absolute best to address. So we want to address this very quickly, make sure, like Jeremy said, that Franken does not have to demobilize, and want to make sure that we're also keeping your residents and your community and your operators in our best interest and your best interest to create a facility that is sustainable long-term for all of you, both financially and operationally.
Bo or Nate, do you have anything to add? Because I'm
I
feeling.
just-
Go ahead.
I just really want to thank the firm for taking these two individuals plus Mr. Dale Decker and some of the others that were involved in the meeting that took the time to go on a short notice and go to listen to what the concerns were. And I hope you don't ever think that I'm doubting what took place. I'm not. I just one that caught the brunt of the conversation, and I'm just trying to make it well to see if she would give us the difference in the money that we're short. So I just appreciate it if I can be at any of the meetings, or you want me to listen to the meetings, or however these meetings are going to be constructed, Zoom or in person or whatnot. I'm in favor of trying to attend if I can at all possible be there, and see what we can do. But I think my text message to her was I need her to help us to get these department heads to meet with us ASAP, because the clock's ticking. I mean, the construction has got to continue, and every day that we're going, any longer, if there is a change or whatever to move walls or whatever she was, would be satisfied with, or these secretaries would be satisfied with, we got to do it. I mean, I go through those buildings once a month. If I can make the meetings for the update or whatever you want to call it, and they're making leaps and bounds of progress. And so me personally, I can't see what all we're going to be able to do without a huge expense, but interested to see. But overall, thank you guys. Thank you for your help on all these, meetings and taking the suggestions, because I was pretty proud of the facility, and I thought we were going to get an A+, and it seems like we kind of got a D.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bo. We were pretty proud as well. So it hurts and it stings a little bit, but we want to make sure you get something that works well for you, that she is also proud of. So we will do whatever it is we need to do to make sure Franken can continue moving forward, and that you have something that you're all proud of, and that we get you there. That's the main goal. Sorry.
Hey, I'm sorry. This is Nate. Hey, I just want to add, like you said, this has to work for us. And you guys pointed out, decentralized staffing that's a great model if we were in a place where we had nurses coming out our ears, but we just don't. And so, private rooms are great if we had a whole bunch of people with private pay, but we don't. Most of our residents are going to be our Medicare and Medicaid, and that doesn't pay for semi-private or doesn't pay for private rooms right now in our current reimbursement model. So I appreciate the feedback from the governor, but at the end of the day, this is our project. It has to work. It has to be something that's going to work for us for the next 50 years. I'm really disappointed that this came out this way. I thought this project, I've been really proud of our design, and we presented that design. There was nothing about this that was hidden from anybody. We didn't sneak a design change in or anything at the last minute. So I'll be interested to hear what you guys come up with in your meetings, but please, this has to meet our goal and our needs right now. Thank you.
And Nate, I'll reassure you that we did try to get those points across, and lack of a better word, we got shut down. And she don't want to hear what we need, what we want. What she wants it to be community oriented in the design. She wants it to be where it's not a place for a fall risk or whatnot. And anyway, long story short, we tried every which way, and she didn't want to hear any of that. So here we are. We're just trying to make do with what we can to get it complete. So believe me, we tried. I mean, you can ask these architects, their boss, Mr. Dale Decker. He tried to give a good explanation, and she pretty much told him that wasn't going to fly. So anyway, long story short, we'll keep going the way we're going, but there's not much flexibility here as far as what we want. It's going to be pretty much what she wants, and she's the one that's funded it, and she made that clear that this has all been out of the governor's dollars. And so it's politics. So here we are. So I guess we'll see what we end up with after these meetings.
And Kate and Jeremy and board, the only thing I ask is that in that building, if they do have to go private, that there is at least 33 rooms, because I'm not comfortable displacing one of my residents currently in this building. That's not fair to them because we couldn't meet a building structure. So that is the only thing I ask on my end, for the request for the long-term care, is at least 33 beds.
Understood, Ashley. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think let's shoot for the original 37. I mean, she was the one pushing the issue that this is exactly what she wanted. So let's get as many as we can.
Okay, so if the board's in agreement, then I think we're just gonna table this, correct? So, do you need a motion? Can I have a motion and a second to table item number 14?
This is Bo. Yeah, I'll make the motion to table item 14.
Okay,
I'll second it.
it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion approves. Moving right along.
Long-term care building update.
All right, so.
I want to say, I appreciate how whoever writes these reports
Mark.
is super honest about it. You're like, look, they're entertaining reports to read. He's pretty matter of fact in the report.
Yeah. So he did give us an updated schedule that is attached as well. It is probably pushed, I think, what did he say, 30 days?
It's on the back.
It is pushed out longer now, but we will also see what that looks like once we go through the design process again with the whole governor situation. So
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, so what's happening with all that?
so we are supposed to have a meeting, I believe, is it this Friday? It might be this Friday, with the architects, and Jeremy's gonna get on and talk to you guys more about what, the design that they came out with.
Oh, okay. Oh, good.
I think there's some drawings and what they,
Yes,
some
I
stuff
had-
here
I had
that
passed
show
out.
the new wing and some of the changes. It's hard to read on a small
Yeah,
piece of
this
paper,
one-
but you can kind of get an idea. Good.
But other than that, it's moving along. So we will wait to hear from Jeremy and see from there. And I guess we'll have to see at the next meeting whether we get funded for it or not, basically.
Yeah.
Okay,
And Jeremy is on, so
yeah,
I don't know if you want to share the plan or design things. I believe you should be able to, but let me know.
Well, I'd like to hear an update from him.
Yes.
that's what we're doing.
There, can everybody see the drawing on the screen?
We sure can, thank you.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you for the invite to be here, give you a quick little update. As Ashley mentioned, we do have a meeting scheduled for Friday to meet with Emily Kaltenbach. She is the Secretary Designate for the Department of Aging and Long-Term Care Services at the state in the governor's office. So because of the legislative session, the schedules have been really a challenge to get a meeting time nailed down. So Friday, the 28th here is the first time we're going to have a chance to follow up with them. After we had met with her, 2 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago now, and gotten kind of a sense of what it is that they believe the governor is looking for as far as changes to the facility. Some of those changes included, their big concerns were distance from nurses station to residents in the West Wing. And so one of the things we're proposing to do is simply convert a couple of those spaces at the far end to other uses. So turning one of the resident rooms into a PT room, a dedicated PT room, and then turning a couple of these resident rooms into offices. Those we can do with, no change really to the building itself, no change to design, mechanical, architectural. It all just kind of worked the same way. Some of the other changes that were requested, though, and the big ones that are going to be difficult to handle and very expensive to implement are the current plan has the lab space right here in the middle as you come in off the entry. They want to move that lab space to where the current administrative area is planned. And so we can make that work from a layout standpoint without too much trouble. However, so what you're seeing here is you would come in from the vestibule, you'd come into a little lab lobby space, there'd be a restroom and the blood draw, and then the lab to the left, which would, behind that door would be the lab office, lab storage, and then there's a lab billing office that could be separate from that. There's no plumbing in this area currently, so we are going to have to do a fair amount of work to demolish and saw cut parts of the slab to add plumbing to the lab space because there's a sink in there as well as to this restroom. The good thing is all of the plumbing currently exits the building on this west side, so it is the deepest part of the sewer to tap into. That's a good thing. It'll make that fairly easy. And again, this is all relative. Cutting up the slab and adding plumbing is never easy in an existing building. So it's going to be a significant amount of work to make that happen, quite costly. Again, we're trying to reuse the locations of the walls as best we can, which we think that actually works out fairly well. The rooftop mechanical units in this area could likely stay. We'd have to reroute a little bit of ductwork below the ceiling. So most of the hardest part is going to be getting the sewer tied in underneath, which will require saw cutting this slab. We believe this layout will be acceptable to Ms. Kaltenbach, but we don't know until we meet with her. And ultimately, the governor is the one who has to approve all of this. So what we're trying to do is get a plan that Ms. Kaltenbach can support with the governor. We believe that's our best path going forward. The other complaint that the governor had was the entry sequence being a little too circuitous, and once you come in that front door, you're not really arriving there yet. So what we're showing here is coming in to more of a direct lobby space that would have a direct line of sight down into the solarium. We think this improves that concern and addresses that concern. However, what it does do is it requires currently, the telecom room sits in this area right here. It would have to move to somewhere over here. Again, there's underground conduit already installed beneath the slab, so there will be a fair amount of cutting and intercepting required to make that happen. That is not an easy fix, and it will require a fair amount of effort to do so, to rework this area. We think that this actually provides, some benefits. The entry sequence is very clear. It's very clean from a visitor and a guest standpoint. You come right in, you can see the greeter, who, as we understand, is basically the activities. The person who operates out of the activities office also will man that front desk. We created a family consult room, which could be beneficial. Again, as outside folks are coming in to talk about their family member who's staying here or potential new residents, there's a kind of a space to do that is not, bringing people deep within the heart of the building. One of the other comments that the governor had was more differentiated dining and activity spaces. So this layout results in kind of a leftover spot that we thought could be kind of a nice little private dining area. So again, if you wanted to have like a private birthday party or something like that, you could have a little space to do that. We are working towards bringing more of the administrative offices inside the facility, deeper within and closer to residents. Originally, when the lab was here, we had the exam room kind of right off that space. We've moved it now over here, taking up what was a soiled and clean utility space. So there's plumbing here. That should be a pretty easy swap. The big thing, I think, concern that we have about this arrangement, while it does address the governor's concerns about kind of coming in and seeing that grand space and that living room space right away, having a more of a home-like feel, is pretty wide open. And I know there are elopement concerns and wandering concerns that we'll need to address. So figuring out kind of how to balance the governor's desire for everyone to kind of arrive and suddenly be there in this open space with concerns about folks wandering off and being able to control that door. So that is a point we will make on Friday when we meet with Ms. Kaltenbach and attempt to get kind of guidance from her perspective as to what to do there.
Check them all.
The East Wing addition, we're proposing to redesign that almost entirely using the same unit types that we're showing on the West Wing. So we can reuse that configuration. But the governor's concern was to create, or desire was to create more neighborhood type spaces rather than simply kind of the hallway with a single point of control at a single nurse's station. So what we're attempting to do here is kind of create some clusters of units around a wider corridor that could be used as kind of a living space and a second single nurse's station. So the goal is to only add one nurse's station and still have control over these other two pods. We believe this will address the concerns and create smaller kind of neighborhood feeling spaces when this East Wing is constructed, but we don't know until we have a chance to show it and discuss it with Ms. Kaltenbach. Some of the advantages that this does create is there is a potential to convert this little chunk down here at the end, these 6 units, into a memory care unit in the future, because you could pretty easily wall that off and create kind of a locked unit with direct access to the outdoors, so they could have a small, secure kind of outdoor space, and then kind of its own secluded, controlled unit in the future, if that was something that was desired. We know that the governor was a big advocate of that. So we're trying to set it up so that we can say that we've addressed that concern by designing something that would allow that to happen in the future, should that level of care ultimately be provided at this facility. From a code standpoint, we'll end up needing to add a separate smoke compartment because this is too many residents for a single smoke compartment. And we're a little bit over on our square footage, so we'll have to tighten it up a little bit. But overall, I think this plan or this layout works to address the concerns that the governor had expressed. In this full build out, we would end up with 37 units, which is the same as we had planned previously. I don't see that there's much opportunity to gain any more than that. But I think for the most part, this is where we're at. It does require a little bit of modification on the site, but we're trying really hard to avoid, you can kind of see this plan here, avoid impacting the retaining wall, particularly along this south driveway. As we come around the corner, obviously we'll have to modify some things and we'll have to modify that roadway a little bit. None of that work is in place yet, with the exception of the retaining wall. So minor modifications needed over in the parking area. That all said, we recognize this is a major change to what the hospital district and Ashley and her team had planned, and what the board had ultimately approved and was able to fund. So after Friday's meeting, hopefully we're optimistic that we'll get kind of clear direction on what minor changes still need to be made. Hopefully this is headed the right direction and generally acceptable. If so, we'll reach out to Franken and begin working with Franken Construction on getting an estimated cost and a time. Once we have that information, we'll share that with Ashley, obviously, and come back to you as the board to share that and get direction on how we want to proceed. I imagine that the board will need to have a schedule impact and a cost impact in order to make any decision about what to do, how to go about attempting to finance this, and any final direction or approvals we need to get through the governor's office before we take any additional steps or incur any additional cost. That was kind of a lot in, 10 minutes or 5 minutes here. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer?
I mean, I like the work you've done. I'm frustrated that we're having to do it, but I like the work that you've done. And probably a question for Ashley, how does this change in design with multiple nurses stations and this sort of stuff change our staffing?
It will increase it.
It's gonna have to, right?
Yep. I would probably have to run with 2 or 3 charge nurses on the day, 2 at least for night, just because of the area. We have
Right.
to have some coming here and also this side.
So that's a
Yeah, and then.
that's an increase that we haven't thought of. Okay, what is our capacity? Because I see 13 units and 24 units, but some of those are is that
So-
37 or is that some of those are doubles, right?
Well, Jeremy, I think
No
we
doubles?
could,
No doubles.
well, we could
My husband
technically.
and wife can't have a
Well,
room together?
yes,
The
but
that-
super singles, the super singles, like if we have a couple, 2
Right,
can go in there.
right.
So we would probably still, when we go out to DOH, we'd put those as 2 in that room just for the license,
Right.
but we don't have to fill it at that, so. So technically,
Okay.
37 plus, how many is there?
Plus 5.
5,
Five.
so
Five super
37 plus 5 is what?
42.
42, so 42 is what we'd probably go out to DOH for.
And they're gonna change the Medicaid rules so that we get paid for a single room, not a double, right?
We need to find out from the
They're not gonna
governor.
change the
No.
rules. They're just gonna make us do this, but we're not gonna change the rules to get us more.
Although they, supposedly they pay more for a single room, I believe at Truth or Consequences on the
I
Medicaid.
thought that was like it, we didn't do that.
So-
Okay. Be interesting to know.
We'll find out.
We still have a pretty long waiting list, Ashley.
So we have an open bed now, and I think we have 3 or 4 on there now, so yes.
Got you.
Can I
That
ask
list.
for clarification on Medicaid? If the super singles, I'm not clear on what you're saying. You'll be compensated the same if there's one person in there as if there are 2?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I don't know that we have a lot of questions. I'm sure we will as we move along. Where's the ambulance supposed to pull up to pick people up?
Around.
Around where? Just, 'cause I might have a vested interest in this. So we're going in the front door.
Drop
Okay,
off, pickup would be at the front door. There is an option potentially to have an ambulance kind of in this drive area here and come in through a back door, either through the service corridor or directly into the residential units. If there was an issue and you need to pick somebody up.
okay. It does happen every now and then.
It does.
So. Alrighty, thank you. Any questions from the board?
No.
We appreciate it. Keep up the good work and we'll see what the governor's representative has to say.
Thank you.
What time's the meeting on Friday?
Let me check. I believe it is at 11, but let me double check that real quick. Sorry, 10 a.m.
Is it on Zoom or in person?
It is a virtual meeting. Do you want me to add you to that invite?
If you want to, if not, it's no big deal. I would like to listen if I can.
Yep, absolutely. We'll forward that invite to you.
Thank you.
I don't think there were any action items there either. I'm sure at some point we will have a final,
Yeah.
and we'll have a vote, but not right now. Okay?
Hi, Mrs. Portillos. This is Jordan Carr. Annalie gave me your number. How are you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm frustrated, I'll be honest.
Okay, what's going on?
Well, I had gone to your residence earlier today, the residence you have listed, to see if...
That I'm at?
Yeah. Okay. You said you weren't there, that you were back and forth between Albuquerque and here.
Yes, and I have been doing that for the last 3 years.
Okay. So
what's your frustration?
well, I voted for you, and I thought you were going to fight for Springer, and ever since you and Mr. Lopez have just been fighting for Angel Fire, things keep getting cut from Springer and resources diverted to Angel Fire over and over and over.
But they have in the past, Jordan. Nothing went to Angel Fire. All these years, nothing has gone to Angel Fire. And all these years, Angel Fire is the one that's paying the most with the mill levy. And they haven't received anything in all these years. Springer has gotten something. Cimarron got a new clinic and an ambulance built. And Angel Fire hasn't gotten anything in all these years. And so we hear complaints from Angel Fire people, and not so much we, but poor Bruce, because they're paying and they're paying and they're paying, and they get absolutely nothing out of it. It has been like that for years, Jordan.
They get their clinic, and Bruce also mentioned they have all that land that's up there that was bought. And on top of that, I know Angel Fire wants more, but their clinic needs to do more if they want more money.
Yeah, and I agree. I totally agree. I'm frustrated with Cimarron because they've already recommended that they up their patient load from 7 to 10, and we're still at 7.
Yeah, so that's my question is,
I get it.
If the board is going to not just sit back like the board did in the past, why is all of that fury getting directed at Springer and not at these clinics? No one says anything to the clinics. What's her name, Annabelle? How could she sit there at that last meeting and say, oh, the clinic director is not going to see more than 7 patients. She's just not comfortable. Well, then she needs to find somebody else, because that's ridiculous. El Centro sees 24 people a day.
Yeah, I totally agree. I used to work for health centers, and they put the mandate on this, and I explained this to the board before, that Dr. Richmond, because I work with Dr. Richmond, that when it came down to it with revenue and everything else, he had to cut his visitation time with the patients to like 30 minutes, and he had to double the patient load. And I was the clinic manager at the time, and we would put him like on a time clock, or not a time clock, but a stopwatch type, where we would time him. And after like 30 minutes, we'd go knock on the door and tell him it's time for the next patient.
Okay, so why isn't that being done with these clinics? Well, ma'am, you're on the board.
Jordan, we cannot get involved in the day-to-day.
Mr. Lopez is doing that every single day, ma'am.
But I'm not Mr. Lopez, sir.
Well,
if Bo wants to do that, let him do it.
No, don't let him do that. Either he needs to be reined in, or I would expect from you to do the same thing and do what you were voted in to do.
What I want to know, Jordan, you know what? Why didn't you get up and speak and voice your opinion to the whole board that night? Why are you voicing it to me now? Are you calling every board member and voicing it? Cimarron's not my area. Cimarron is Nate. Have you called Nate and voiced your opinion about Cimarron? Have you called Bruce and voiced your opinion about Angel Fire?
No, because they are not my representatives. You are my representative. But it does matter.
Jordan, I don't appreciate when you call me and you complain like this when you had every opportunity Monday night at the board meeting to voice your opinion then to the entire board.
I don't say anything at those board meetings because I know how people listen to me. I know how people are, and they're going to turn it around and say, just because I am dating somebody from the nursing home, that they're going to say that she's sending me after you. But half of this town is related to somebody at the nursing home. It doesn't mean that our voices get silenced.
Right, and that's okay. But you had every opportunity, is all I'm saying.
Yes, I did.
You had every opportunity to speak to the entire board.
And you better believe I will be at the next one.
Good. Because that's exactly what we want. There's no sense in calling me, and I'm only one member. But I don't understand my boundaries, and I don't get involved. I do not get involved in the day-to-day.
Then why did you run for the board?
Never had to. I don't get involved in the day-to-day. I ran for the board for one reason, is to help. And I am helping. Why do you think they're building a whole new facility?
Ma'am, that was in
My husband
place.
started that.
Yes.
My husband started that. And my goal is to make sure it gets completed. But I have addressed the concerns with the Cimarron clinic.
Okay, so then my other question for you, if you want this clinic to be finished, is why are you going along with Bo with this whole thing bending the knee to the governor? She needs to mind her damn business. It's none of her business. Why are we inflating the timeline of this facility and the price of this facility? She wants it for the people from Santa Fe and Albuquerque to come in here and take over this, to have their parents in there. If she gets her way, the people here are not going to be able to afford it.
Yeah. Well, she's the one that gave the $18 million, so that's
She didn't do it. The taxpayers gave the money. It's not her money.
It came from the legislature. They're the ones that approved the $18 million for.
Yeah, of taxpayer money. It's not coming out of their pocket.
Yeah. Well,
It's not her money.
She still appropriated it.
Yeah, and if she had such a problem with the facility, why did she wait 2 years when the facility's almost done, and now she has issues with it? Now she wants to come in here and do
I
this.
was not on the board 2 years ago, Jordan.
Yes, but I'm asking you why you're not questioning that now.
Because I'm just going through with, I don't even know everything that's going on. Again, I'm not getting involved in the day-to-day.
That's not day-to-day. It's stuff that's been discussed at the meetings.
Doesn't matter. It's a day-to-day. I can't get involved in the day-to-day stuff, and I'm not going to. That's what you don't understand. You can't be doing all that. Yes, there's questions, but she didn't chew us out. She was chewing the architectures out because of the way the plan was set up. But this was done before I was on the board. So how am I supposed to answer all that?
It was not done before you were on the board. She was just here a few... No, she was just here a few weeks ago.
Jordan, where do you think they got the first $3 million from? Where do you think they got the...
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about her coming in at the 11th hour and wanting to change the facility now that it's already almost done.
Well, there's nothing I can do about it.
There damn sure is something you can do about it. You can tell her no.